My name is Patrick, and I need to tell you about the night sleep paralysis stopped being just a medical condition and became something far worse. What I'm about to share with you happened 3 years ago, but I still can't sleep with the lights off. I was 24, living alone in a studio apartment in Portland. I'd heard about sleep paralysis before. You know, that thing where you wake up but can't move. Your mind is awake, but your body is still asleep. Scientific. Explainable. That's what I kept telling myself. It started in October. I'd been working double shifts at the hospital. I was a medical resident, so exhaustion was just part of life. I come home around 2 a.m., collapse into bed, and sleep like the dead. But then one night, I woke up. Except I didn't really wake up. My eyes opened, and I could see my apartment. The street light bleeding through the curtains. The red glow of my alarm clock reading 3:47 a.m. But I couldn't move. Not my arms. Not my legs. Not even my fingers. My chest felt heavy, like someone was sitting on it. I tried to scream, tried to call out, but my voice was trapped somewhere deep in my throat. And that's when I saw him. In the corner of my room, by the closet, there was a shadow. But not just darkness, this was a shape. A figure. Tall. Impossibly thin. And it was watching me. I told myself it was just the paralysis. Hallucinations are common, right? The brain playing tricks. But then, it moved. This thing. This shadow man. It glided toward my bed. No footsteps. No sound, just this slow, deliberate movement, like it had all the time in the world. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it would burst. I was screaming inside my own head, move, 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 but nothing. My body wouldn't respond. The shadow man reached the foot of my bed and just stopped. I could feel it staring at me, even though it had no face, no features. Just this void where a person should be. And then I heard it. A voice. Not out loud, it was in my head. Deep. Rasping. Ancient. Patrick. It knew my name. This thing, whatever it was, it knew who I was. I wanted to pass out. I wanted to die right there rather than face whatever this was. But I was trapped. Paralyzed. Helpless. The shadow man leaned closer. And I felt this coldness, like all the warmth was being sucked out of the room. My breath came out in visible puffs, even though it was October in Portland, not exactly freezing. And then it whispered again, "I've been waiting for you to notice me." Suddenly, like a switch flipped, I could move again. I gasped, shot up in bed, and the shadow man was just gone. The room was normal temperature. The clock read 3:52 a.m. 5 minutes. The whole thing lasted 5 minutes. I turned on every light in my apartment. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. I researched sleep paralysis obsessively the next day. Shadow figures are common, I read. Hallucinations. Brain chemicals. Nothing supernatural. I almost convinced myself. But then it happened again. 2 nights later. Same time. 3:47 a.m. Same paralysis. Same shadow man. Except this time, he was closer. Standing right next to my bed. And when he spoke, I heard something new in that horrible voice. "You're almost ready." Ready? Ready for what? It kept happening. Every few nights. Always 3:47 a.m. The shadow man got closer each time. And each time, he said something different. "I can taste your fear. They're waiting for you." Soon, Patrick. Very soon. I stopped sleeping. I'd stay up until dawn, then crash from exhaustion during the day. But even that didn't help. The paralysis started happening during the day too. In my car, at work, once in the hospital cafeteria, I froze mid-bite and saw him standing across the room, pointing at me. No one else could see him. No one else heard him. I thought I was losing my mind. I saw doctors, therapists, They prescribed sleeping pills, anti-anxiety medication. Nothing worked. Then, 3 weeks after it started, I woke up at 3:47 a.m., paralyzed, and the shadow man wasn't in the corner anymore. He was lying in bed next to me. I could feel him, not see him. It was too dark, but feel him. This freezing, suffocating presence pressed against my back. And then I felt something worse. A hand, ice-cold fingers wrapping around my wrist. And he pulled. I don't know how to explain this. He pulled, and I felt myself separating, like he was trying to pull me out of my own body. I could feel myself being tugged towards something dark, something empty, somewhere that wasn't my room. I fought. God, I fought with everything I had. And finally, I broke free. I screamed. Really screamed this time. I rolled off the bed, crashed to the floor, and scrambled for the light switch. The shadow man was gone. But when I looked at my wrist, there were fingerprints, bruises, for distinct marks and a thumb, ice cold to the touch. I moved out the next day. Didn't even pack everything. Just grabbed essentials and left. I've lived in 4 different apartments since then. Different cities, even. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. Last week, I woke up at 3:47 a.m., and I heard breathing in the corner of my new room. He said I was almost ready. I don't know what that means, but I'm terrified I'm about to find out. If you ever experience sleep paralysis, pray it's just your brain playing tricks. Because if you see a shadow man who knows your name, you might be next. My name is Eleanor. I'm 63 years old now, and I'm going to tell you about the creature that visited me when I was just a little girl. The creature I've been running from my entire life. I grew up in rural Kentucky, in a farmhouse that had been in my family for generations. It was 1968. I was 7 years old, the youngest of 4 children. My bedroom was upstairs, at the end of a long hallway. I loved that room during the day. Sunlight poured through the windows, and I could see the fields stretching out for miles. But at night, that room felt different. Colder, emptier, like something was waiting. My grandmother lived with us back then. She was old country, from Romania originally, full of superstitions and strange beliefs. She used to tell us stories about night visitors. Evil spirits that would sit on your chest while you slept and steal your breath. We thought she was just trying to scare us. It started in December, right before Christmas. I woke up one night, I don't know what time, but it was pitch black and I couldn't move. I remember thinking maybe I'd slept wrong, pinched a nerve or something. But then I realized I couldn't even open my mouth. Couldn't blink. Couldn't do anything except stare at my ceiling. And then I felt the weight. Something was pressing down on my chest. Not hard at first, just this gradual pressure, like someone was slowly lowering themselves onto me. The air got harder to breathe. I tried to call for my parents, but no sound came out. That's when I smelled it. This rotten, sour smell, like meat that had been left out in the sun for days. It was so strong I wanted to gag, but I couldn't even do that. And then I saw her. At the foot of my bed, barely visible in the darkness, was a woman, but not a normal woman. She was hunched, bent. Her hair hung down in greasy strands, and her clothes, they looked like rags. Old-fashioned, like something from 100 years ago. But her face, God, her face. She was ancient, wrinkled beyond anything I'd ever seen. Her skin looked like old leather, stretched too tight over her skull. But her eyes, they were bright, young almost, and filled with this hunger. She smiled at me. Her teeth were black and broken. And then she started climbing onto my bed. I was screaming inside my own head. 7-year-old me was absolutely terrified, but I couldn't make a sound, couldn't move a muscle. She crawled up my legs, her hands, these gnarled, claw-like things, gripping the blanket. And then she sat on my chest. The weight was crushing. I couldn't breathe, couldn't expand my lungs. Black spots danced in my vision, and I genuinely thought, I was going to die right there. The old hag leaned down, her face inches from mine. Her breath was that same rotten smell, but worse up close. so much worse. And then she whispered in this crackling, ancient voice, such sweet breath, such sweet life. She opened her mouth, impossibly wide, and I swear she was trying to suck the air right out of me. I could feel it, like my breath was being pulled from my lungs by force. And then, just as suddenly as it started, I could move again. I screamed, really screamed, and the old hag vanished, just disappeared into nothing. My parents came running. They found me sobbing, hyperventilating. I tried to tell them what happened, but they said it was just a nightmare, a bad dream. But my grandmother, she believed me. She told me it was a night hag, a demon that feeds on fear and breath. In Romania, they called it moroi. She said it picks a victim and keeps coming back until... She never finished that sentence, but I understood. Until it kills you. My grandmother gave me a small cloth pouch filled with salt and herbs. She made me promise to keep it under my pillow. She also taught me a prayer in Romanian. I didn't understand the words, but I memorized them. For a while it worked. The night hag didn't come back. But then my grandmother died. Heart attack, they said. Sudden. I was 8 years old. 3 days after her funeral, the hag returned. Same paralysis. Same crushing weight. Same rotten smell. But this time she was angry. I could feel it radiating off her like heat. She sat on my chest, heavier than before, and when she leaned down, she hissed. The old woman protected you, but now she's gone. Now you're mine. I couldn't move. Couldn't scream. The pouch was under my pillow, but I couldn't reach it. I was suffocating, dying, and no one was coming to help me. Black spots filled my vision. My lungs burned. I was 8 years old, and I was going to die in that room. But then, I remembered the prayer, the one my grandmother taught me. I couldn't speak out loud, but I said it in my mind, over and over. The Romanian words I didn't understand, but had memorized perfectly. And the hag, she screamed. This horrible, inhuman sound. She flew backward, like she'd been hit by an invisible force. And then she was gone. I never told anyone the whole story. How could I? Who would believe that a little girl fought off a demon with a prayer she didn't even understand? I grew up. I moved away from that farmhouse. I got married, had children, built a normal life. But I never forgot that prayer, and I never stopped saying it. Every night, before I go to sleep, I whisper those Romanian words. Because 2 weeks ago, my 8-year-old granddaughter called me crying. She said she woke up and couldn't move. Said she smelled something rotten. Said she saw an old woman at the foot of her bed. And when I asked her to describe the woman, she described her perfectly, down to the black teeth and the bright, hungry eyes. The hag didn't die. She's been waiting. All these years, she's been waiting. My grandmother saved me with that prayer. But now my granddaughter needs protection, and I can't remember all the words anymore. I've said them so many times they've started to blur together. What if I teach her wrong? What if the prayer doesn't work for her like it did for me? The night hag is patient. She can wait generations, and I think she's finally come to collect what she's owed. My name's Tyler. I'm 19, and I'm about to tell you why I'll never stay at someone else's house ever again. Actually, I'm about to tell you why you shouldn't either. So, this happened last year when I was 18, right after I graduated high school. My buddy Jake invited me to stay at his family's cabin up in the Adirondacks for a week. You know, typical post-grad celebration. Hiking, fishing, campfires, guy stuff. I'd never been to the cabin before. It was pretty remote, like 40 minutes from the nearest town. Old place, been in Jake's family since the 1800s or something. Jake mentioned his grandparents used to live there year-round, but they both died a few years back. Since then, the family only used it for vacations. Should have been a fun week. Just two friends, no parents, no rules. But there was a room in that cabin. A room Jake said I absolutely could not sleep in. Look, I'm not an idiot. When someone tells you don't go in that room, you don't go in that room, right? That's like horror movie 101. But here's the thing. Jake didn't really explain why. He just said it was his grandparents' old bedroom, and his family kept it locked. Out of respect, he said. The cabin had 3 bedrooms. Jake took the master. I was supposed to take the guest room. And then there was that third room at the end of the hall, the one with the red door. I noticed it the first day. While Jake was unpacking, I walked past it. The door was solid wood, painted this dark, rust-colored red. And there was a padlock on the outside. Who locks a bedroom from the outside? The first 2 nights were fine. We grilled, played video games, hiked during the day. Normal vacation stuff. But on the third night, I had my first episode of sleep paralysis. Ever. I woke up in the guest room. Or I thought I did. I could see the ceiling, the dresser, the window with moonlight coming through. But I couldn't move. At all. And I heard something. A sound coming from the hallway. Like scratching. Slow. Deliberate. Coming from the direction of the red door. Then I heard the voice. Tyler. Tyler, come here. It was a woman's voice. Old. Raspy. And she was calling my name. The paralysis broke suddenly, and I sat up gasping. The scratching stopped. The cabin was silent. I checked my phone. 3:33 a.m. I didn't tell Jake. I didn't want to sound like an idiot. But the next night, it happened again. Same time. 3:33 a.m. Woke up paralyzed. But this time, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Slow. Heavy. Coming from the direction of the red door and stopping right outside my room. The door handle started to turn. I was screaming inside my head. My door wasn't locked. Whoever, or whatever, was out there could just walk right in. But I couldn't move. Couldn't call for Jake. Couldn't do anything. The door opened. I saw her, standing in my doorway. An old woman, ancient, wearing this faded red nightgown. Her hair was white and wild, and her eyes were completely black. No whites, just black. She stood there, staring at me. Then she smiled. And when she spoke, I heard that raspy voice again. You shouldn't be in this house, Tyler. This is my house. The paralysis broke, and she vanished. Just disappeared. The door was closed again, like it had never opened. The next morning, I told Jake everything. He went pale. Like genuinely pale. And then he told me the truth. His grandmother didn't die of natural causes. She had early onset dementia. Got really bad in her last few years. Started having violent episodes. Attacking Jake's grandfather. They kept her in that bedroom. The one with the red door. They padlocked it from the outside to keep her in at night because she'd wander and hurt herself or hurt others. She died in that room. One night, Jake's grandfather went to check on her in the morning, and she was just sitting in bed, dead, eyes open, staring at the door. Jake said his family won't go in that room. They won't even open it. After she died, weird things started happening. Footsteps, scratching sounds, voices. His parents wanted to sell the cabin, but no one would buy it. Said it had bad energy. I wanted to leave right then, pack up and go. But Jake convinced me to stay one more night. It's almost over, he said. Just one more night. Worst decision of my life. That night, I didn't even try to sleep. I stayed up, lights on, door locked. I wasn't taking any chances. But at 3:33 a.m., the lights went out. All of them. The entire cabin went dark. And I heard the padlock on the red door fall to the floor with a heavy clunk. Then the door creaked open. I could hear her in the hallway. Those same slow, heavy footsteps. Coming closer, closer, right to my door. And then she started pounding on it. Boom, 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 over and over. The whole door shook. I could hear her voice, screaming through the wood. Get out of my house. I couldn't move. I was frozen, not paralysis, just pure fear. The pounding got louder, harder. I thought the door would splinter. And then silence. The lights came back on. The pounding stopped. I waited 10 minutes before I finally unlocked my door and looked into the hallway. The red door was wide open. The padlock was on the floor, broken in half. But inside the room, everything was destroyed. The bed was shredded, the furniture overturned. And on the wall, scratched deep into the wood, were words. This is my house. Leave or join me. Jake and I left at dawn. We didn't pack, didn't clean up, just got in the car and drove. His parents ended up boarding up the cabin entirely. They won't go back. No one will. But here's what keeps me up at night. 2 weeks ago, I woke up at 3:33 a.m. in my own bedroom, and I couldn't move. I heard scratching, coming from my closet, and then I heard that raspy voice, so close it felt like she was whispering in my ear. You left my house, Tyler, but I didn't leave you. I sleep with the lights on now, every night, because I think she followed me home, and I don't know how to make her leave. 3 stories, 3 people, 3 encounters with the nightmare between waking and sleeping. Sleep paralysis, they call it. A medical condition, a trick of the brain. But what if it's not? What if sleep paralysis is just a doorway, and sometimes something walks through? Sleep tight, if you can.